When yonis are not worshipped or adorned the way that she desires, she goes to sleep. In this episode, we explore the oracle between your legs, reclaiming the wisdom of the womb. Welcome to Sacred Soul Sparks podcast, where devotion meets desire and the feminine awakens in her full magnetic power. I'm Michelle Cross, a guide for women reclaiming their sensuality, their voice, and the sacred union within. Each episode is a raw transmission from my soul to yours, inviting you to come home to the truth of who you are, wild, soft, untamed, and oh so deeply powerful. So let's dive in. This is juicy and one of my favorite subjects. Yoni has gone to sleep. I said, I know. Your Yoni isn't broken. She never forgets. She is ready to purr, to hum, to roar. When Yoni is not adorned or worshipped the way she desires, she goes to sleep. She numbs. She shuts down. Yoni has been dishonored, untouched, and ignored for centuries, but she never forgets. She's just stopped sending us messages, not because Yoni cannot, but because we have stopped listening. This is not about sensuality. This is about your feminine power, your intuition, your truth, your Shakti, your primal feminine energy, and that primal urge. You know that time when you used to hear an inner message that maybe one time you didn't listen to, and she was right. And the shame or the blame that you felt, you began not to listen. And so over time, she became quieter. Maybe that's happened for you. I know in my own life, I didn't always honor her. I didn't fully understand the sacredness of my body, of my yoni, of my feminine energy, Kundalini Shakti, my sensuality, until I met Tantra. Because before that, I was pushing, overgiving, trying, seeking validation in relationships that ultimately couldn't meet me. They couldn't even hold me. They didn't honor me. And my Yoni, she was starving, she was lonely, and she went quiet, and she felt numb. Until I made a commitment to myself, to my intimacy, to my wholeness, to my feminine truth, to loving my Yoni the way that she desired to be loved, I couldn't fully feel, and I wasn't turned all the way on. I was dimming. And I share my story of not walking in that pivotal time in my life because that was also prior to that, I made a commitment with the universe where I said no more to booty calls, no more to men that would not commit to me. And I was choosing them paradoxically because I had the commitment issues. It was running the script of rejection and abandonment issues. And so when my body collapsed out of alignment and I couldn't walk, it wasn't just illness, it was trauma leaving my cells. It was the pain of my no never being heard, but then also the reclamation of no more. I'm not putting up with this. I'm not accepting this. And as I began to walk again, for me, the oracle of my Yoni was urging me to walk this new path, the Shakta Tantra path, the red tent, the feminine mysteries. And my Kundalini began to stir and rise and roar once again. And my husband, he unlocked the doors of my sensuality through devotion, through trust, through commitment. And that C word, I absolutely fucking love, awakened everything. Commitment. I committed to me. And he mirrored that. He met me. He saw me. His presence awakened everything. And here's one of my awakening stories that really transformed the codes in my body and my yoni. I remember in the early days when he first came to visit me in London for 4 months, and I, as I've said, was a strong, independent, successful businesswoman on the surface. But beneath it, I was lonely, and I had been living alone for a while. So when he came to see me, it was just a day, having a cup of coffee, and it was one of my favourite cups from Australia. And he triggered me, and I had the coffee in my hand, and I literally screamed at him. And I know exactly what it was about. We were talking about sex. And I smashed the cup on the floor. The coffee went everywhere. And then I cried, "My cup." And my man looked at me and he said, "Who was that?" And I replied, "I don't know." You see, I was pushing boundaries at that time. The vasanas I talked about last time, they were rising. And I was actually self-sabotaging a moment of us going deeper with each other. And what my man did at that time, when I said that I didn't know, he looked at me with his calm Caribbean rasta ways and he said, "I'm not going anywhere. Let's talk about it." And I can feel it in my heart now, remembering this, is he melted my heart. Because all of my abandonment and rejection issues from childhood, my parents divorcing, choosing unavailable men who would actually tell me that I was needy, that I was too emotional, up until that point, Tantra changed everything. The tantric practices of practicing with my yoni, invited me to feel safe and to change and for my yoni to unfreeze. And then I was able to meet the man who met me, to be there and say, "I'm not going anywhere." Safety is massive for the women that I work with. It's probably the number one subject that we talk about when there is a reclamation and a reawakening of yoni practices. When we as women do not feel safe, we cannot begin to unnumb and open to new portals. But there's this stage that is exactly what I went through when I couldn't walk, is I was numb, Then there was immense pain, and the next stage is pleasure. So when we begin to unnumb the yoni to new portals, yes, there may be pain, but the pain is the oracle of the yoni. Numbness, pain, the truth surfaces for healing, to be seen, to be met, to be felt. And then we enter the pleasure portal. And this is the energy that I now live and teach and mentor women with. Yoni is not the problem. She's not here. She's not that part to be tightened, fixed, pruned, waxed. She's here to be fully seen in her sovereignty. In Tantra, your body is the temple. Your yoni is the inner sanctum. She is the throne room of Shakti. And I meet so many women who are cut off from this wisdom because the old paradigm feared a woman who was fully alive in her body. We were taught to be the good girls, to numb, to silence, to conform, to live in our heads, not our hips. We learn to sublimate all of our feelings to logic and compartmentalize, to override our instincts for productivity and to please others. We've been taught to shush her, to numb her, to medicate her, to tighten her, to hide her. And then she's been given all these other names. But Yoni doesn't speak in logic. She speaks in sensations, in pulsations, in throbbing, wetness, in pleasure, in tingles. She speaks through what you feel, not what you think. I'm asking you now as I speak, are you feeling any sensations in your body? And even more in your yoni? Is she waking up? Modern life pulls us up and out our body, into our heads, or even the big O's that women are seeking are pushed down and out. It's goal orientated. We're taught to sublimate everything and logically analyze it, compartmentalize it, put it away and deal with it later. We were taught to grip, grind, go. But this is not your feminine essence. And you, my love, are not here to be efficient. You are here to be fully felt and full of life. Women, at our core, we long to feel fully alive. I even made a somatic movement course with that name, Feel Fully Alive. And all of this begins with the gateway between your thighs, the pulse of your yoni. She's not just anatomy, she's ancient, she's cosmic, she's the gateway between worlds. She births, she receives, she knows deeply, deep truth. And in the tantric wisdom, she is the oracle, the seat of Shakti. She is this primal compass. And as I said in my last session, Yoni in my lineage is at the cervix. And in Tantra, the gateway, the cervix is the gateway to the cosmos that gives birth to all life. And this is Muladhara chakra, our roots. When you start to listen to her, you remember, you feel so rooted. Your foundation is solid. You remember your body is this temple. Your yoni is the inner sanctum. You remember that your orgasm isn't a goal, but a gateway to God. And this is so important because so many women come to me saying, I can experience orgasm with myself, but not with my partner. Or I'm not experiencing orgasm at all. And this is why I offer this year-long mentoring called the Seductress Temple. And it's a portal for women to go through the seasons to awaken Shakti, your primal feminine energy, your primal sexual creative energy, to de-armor the heart, de-armor the yoni, and to begin to unravel and seduce yourself. This is where we begin to unearth all the truths. There's not a lack of capacity from experiencing the big O, or the gateway to God. There's a disconnect from the body, from desire, from intimacy. And it's often stemming from control, fear, or to be nice. And that keeps our true expression locked away. And this is really what all my work is built on. Every ritual, every practice, every breath is a transmission to transform lives, to reconnect you to the pulse of the feminine within you. So if I ask you now, maybe place your hands in Yoni Mudra, the downward facing triangle of your palms, flat against your pelvis, your fingertips touching the mound of Venus. What do you feel right now? Are there any sensations in your body? Is there lightness? Is there tightness? Is there contraction? Is there openness? Is there a pulse, a tingle, hot, cold? And really, what do you long for? Because when you begin to listen, your body will answer. And in time, so will your yoni. I share a practice called body talk. I'll do another podcast about it, which is how I share how the physical conditions and the pains are often the final signal, not the first. Your body always knows, and she's trying to wake you up. And the symptoms, they're not random, they're not wrong. They're whispers of the body of how she remembers. And this is why I awaken and activate Shakti, sublimate Shakti for you to feel more. And this is the intimacy I call into me I see. Your body is a map. The stories of your life are the compass. Your heart and emotions are the signposts. And your sacred yoni is the gateway to the infinite. And Shakti is the key that unlocks everything. Shakti means energy or power, to be able. There's another meaning, she who cannot be contained. And the paradox is, most do contain her. But what I love about Shakti is she is longing to just move. And her other longing always is for her divine consort, the mighty Shiva. And this is where you enter the mysteries and the sacred gateway of your yoni. And I teach women to meet their inner Shiva, their inner masculine, to hold space. And then, if you're fortunate to have a real life Shiva, a masculine, to hold space for you, like my man does. This is where the oracle comes alive even more. not in a vision board, not in another course, but in the womb of creation, and a throb that wakes up when you stop performing and start listening. Shakti is the GPS of your feminine soul, and your yoni is the gateway to the infinite cosmos, your infinite potential within. And the ancient tantrikas honored the mystical yoni secrets that were viewed as this sacred pathway to spiritual awakening and inner transformation and self-actualization. So when I guide women to awaken, we're not awakening just sexually, but ceremonially. And so you can go back and listen to the Magnetism podcast, because at the end I offer a very simple, short ritual meditation at the end. And that can begin to connect you to your next breakthrough. And you can begin to ask the yoni for the message, for the insights, for the transmission. And let the oracle of your yoni guide you home. So as always, beloved, if something stirred within you, if you felt sensations, oh, how magical, I'm so pleased. I'd love for you to share with me. You can follow me over on my Facebook page or my Instagram. I'll leave the links below. And if you want to dive deeper into my Seductress Temple, a year-long mentoring transmission, just you and me, then get in touch. Let the sacred sparks ripple, and I'll see you next time.